very well packed from Watanabe Bookbinding. I spotted these beautifully hand-marbled notebooks, Tomoe River Paper notebooks at the Tokyo International Pen Show in November 2023 last year. And I've mentioned that it was such a rush. It was the last few days of our time in Japan, in Tokyo, and I was so scattered and so tired and so stressed that I couldn't quite have the time that I need to consider. I bought a 3-day pass, but I was only there for 2 hours. In the end, I had to make some choices. I couldn't have everything that I wanted. In the end, I think I bought some things that I wish I hadn't, that I wasn't too enamored with, but I was curious enough. For example, the gray book, the gray notebook. The idea is that it is the kind of color that wouldn't be stark in the eye, but with colored fountain pen inks, that wouldn't have worked. So that's, as a result, I'm limiting myself to ballpoint points, I suppose, with that gray book. I'll put the video somewhere here or at the end of this video, or you could look for my fountain pen, my Tips 2023 haul. And there is a recycled notebook, for example. So there's all these novelty items that's a little bit more interesting on the outset, but also cheaper. These 7Cs notebooks are with the hand marbling and the Tomoe River paper. It was more expensive. They are 50% more expensive, and of course prices have gone up. It used to be about, I think, $45 or $40. They're now $50, and on top of that I have to pay shipping. So I'm paying for my indecisiveness and extra cost. But I didn't want to be impulsive. I wanted to consider my purchases. Unfortunately, there is only so much time in the country, and so I obtained their contacts and I emailed them in the afterwards. Shipping was almost $70 when it was first quoted, and I balked, and I thought, I can't pay $70 in shipping buying a couple of notebooks. So the math can be a bit complicated when shipping is extremely high. So I decided to buy 4 notebooks. So very, very well packed. So this, compared to that, I don't know if this is hand marbled or not. Given the material, as I mentioned to you, the material here is like peach skin. So I don't know how marbling, I could be wrong, I don't know. And this is, so you have a choice whether it's the marbling on the cover. So I picked that for BA. This is a lot smaller. This is not a, oh wow. So this is A5. So this is not A5. So, and this is a lot. So the edge marbling, I've picked these colors. This is the 7Cs. And so the one that I saw at the show was red. This is hardcover. The one I saw was softcover. And that was what I was going to buy earlier this year as I returned from Japan in January. I contacted them, saw that shipping was 17 New Zealand dollars, and I just sort of balked at it. This is hardcover. So, and this is, so the language barrier is, the website is all in Japanese. So I have to email them and contact them back and forth, and we have to communicate over circling PDF photos and choosing which one they have to take a photo, that sort of thing. It's so very manual. And so I knew the risk for error was there. So this, originally when I picked this, I mean, look at that marbling there. They mistakenly told me it was a bigger notebook. And when I discovered that I have to redo my choices for the notebook this size, I decided to just go with whatever we have, because the going back and forth was, I was beginning to feel very conscious about taking too much of their time. And the going back and forth was also beginning to get a little bit more complicated than it could have been. And so I've obviously choose the aesthetic. This is such a lively, and so the one that I saw is something like this, but with a red soft cover. So with my A6, let me show you. A6s are too small for me for journals, but it's doable. So the A6s, if you recall, was my Hobonichi planner, and that's 1 page a day. It's way too small, but I've committed myself to carrying on for 5 years, which I've done. So I thought to myself, this can be just a small journal where I don't have to stare at blank pages when nothing's going on, and I don't feel like it's a waste of paper. I can just go in, date the day of note, write it down, and then leave it and come back only if there's something noteworthy. Because with the journal, with data journals, which I've never liked, especially when things are slow or they're just filled with life, adulting challenges and work stresses, there isn't really much to talk about. And it can become unproductive to look back through all the pages filled with nothing or unpleasant events, you know what I mean? And so I need to rethink my journals, and I'm going to go back to how I did it in the past with notebooks. And I have been collecting notebooks for a long time, I think, with the idea to return to such activities, but life have gotten in the way. And I've also been hoarding these Tomoe River Paper that was changing factory a few years ago, and I'm not too sure if my Hobonichi 2024 A6 is anything to go by. It isn't very promising for fountain pens, at least not with the titanium nibbed fountain pen that I'm trying on at the moment. So I'll try another fountain pen, see how it goes, and I'll do a proper video comparing the various nibs, the gold nibs and titanium nibs with Hobonichi 2024 and 25 and 23, etc. So for the moment, this is really lovely. You could see there's a theme here. There's a warmer color in these two, cover and edge. And then there's a cooler color here in these two. This sort of bluish pinkish coupled with, I actually think I picked something similar to this, but that's fine. It was difficult. I can't see the cover. I would like to choose the edge combination color with the cover if I had that chance. But as I said, it was the communication was getting a little, I was very conscious of taking any more time that they've already generously afforded me. So I don't know. They say this is A5, but I'm not. So maybe that's not A5. I don't know. Have I? Yeah, so this is A5 here for sure. That's the Hobonichi A5. So this is it a B? Maybe this is a B something. Yes, B6. There it is. That's a B6. So I know I was looking at the 7 Cs, which is this one here. Tomoe River. Just to show you what I have. And in future videos, make sure you have your notification bell on. I'll test drive the pages with the fountain pens, gold nib and titanium nib. So I think this is Tomoe River. It says there, but I don't think this is. It's okay though, because the marbling is just amazing. So I'm not going to test the paper because I I don't know when I'm going to be ready to use these notebooks, but let's have a look at the inside. And then I'll put it back for storage until I'm ready to use them. I haven't decided which book's going to be my journal for 2025. Okay, so I suspect once this is out, I can't put it back in. So yeah, I won't be able to put this back in once I take this out. So this is the 7 C's notebook, which is the A5 of which I originally was after. So this is stitch bound, as you can see, lace flat. The cover is soft. This linen textured. Like, I'm not affiliated with Watanabe Bookbinding, by the way, or the 7 C's brand. So this is very much in the tradition of the Hobonichi Techo. So it's this soft cotton cardboard front. Also like this one here, Hobonichi, like this one here from Gallon Leather, which I haven't opened as well because I'm stockpiling the old Tomoe River Paper from a few years ago. So that's the one that I saw, as I've mentioned, at the pen show in Tokyo, was this lovely red with this colored marbling on the edges, and the other one was this lovely brown with beautiful. And so this is a blot paper here, which is highly appreciated. So one came sign here, and there's a little bit of bleeding, so I'm not going to take this out of the plastic just in case I need to return this or whether this was a mistake. But there's a bleeding in color here, if you could see there, that shows you that this marbling was done the traditional way after the book is bound. So I'm very pleased to know that, and I'm still a bit bothered by it. I'm gonna ask Gallon Leather and see what they say. So ink blot, ink paper, open, the large, quite large compared to Hobonichi. These are really large. So that's the Hobonichi. I think it's 7, it says 7 millimeters, the grid, so that's big. Compare that with Hobonichi, that's literally 4 squares of the Hobonichi is 1 square on the 7 C's. But it's great for me because I actually, the trouble I have with Hobonichi's A6 is how small, and I don't write on the line. As you could see, I just, look at that, it's just scatter everywhere. So I just pretend the grid doesn't exist. And so here, for me, it's just nice. And so journaling on this will be interesting because I have to train myself to be less verbose. I am very, I'm not very concrete in my, and this is where I want to discuss about journaling, where I'm going to do this later, where I fall in the trap of journaling for journaling's sake. So memory keeping, then I have this habit since I was 15, since I first started journaling ever in my life. I will write down every description and become quite entangled with putting down every details, so much so that it's very unpleasant to read back because it's just so inundated with details of exactly what happened. And so I think with the life book Hobonichi, I learned, just looking at how people journal, I learned that you could simply put down things to recall memories, to recall events without having to go into detailed description of everything. And so that's my challenge with the smaller journal. With the bigger journal, it's just more room to put down things like tickets and such. But also with Tomoe River Paper, I don't want to use the paper to stick things on because it's such a wasted real estate, you know, with stuff on it. I would rather have as much as possible covered in fountain pen writing because it's so delicious for fountain pens. Now this one here is not Tomoe River Paper. Now if you look at the marbling here, you could see the paper here is like not grained, not peached, not slippery. It reminds you of watercolor paper where ink will stay. And so I'm actually curious if you can actually do marbling on this sort of peach skin material. I will email Gallon Leather and see what they say. And so this, I don't think this is Tomoe River. I remember, yeah, it's not. I don't think it's too thick. But this reminds me of the paper on Traveler's Notebook. So it's still coated, I think. I could still feel it really smooth. Or Muji Notebook. But it's a little bit thicker. And if you put ballpoint in, it glides beautifully. But for fountain pens, I found those are a little bit too it doesn't glide as well with fountain pens. So it's thick, but it's coated with something. And it doesn't open, I mean, it's stitch bound as well, but it doesn't open flat. Yeah, so this is more conventional notebook. So basically you're buying the lovely front. So really the one I was actually after is an A5 7Cs. But as I said, the communication wasn't ideal. And by the time I realized I was sent the wrong picture, I've already made up my mind that I wanted this one. When they sent me the A5 7Cs, the bigger one, it was already so many emails back and forth, and none of the color edging, the marbling around the edges, I quite like the look of, so I thought I'll just come back next time. Plus, I thought I'll give this opportunity, I take this opportunity to try to journal, starting segueing myself from dated A6 to non-dated A6 rather than dated A6 to big undated books. But you never know, these things tend to also to force me with being more efficient with words and just try to put in memories. But the best laid plan, you know. So we'll see. I will definitely update you at the end of 2025 whether this plan come to fruition or not. Yeah, this is definitely good journal material because it has this. I don't believe this is no blot paper, but it has this bookmark. Well, this one has a blot paper, so obviously intended for ink users, fountain pen users, but there's no bookmark ribbon. So we'll see how it goes. I know that for notebooks, I have to use the ring binder, the plotter, because of the way I do brain dumping. I found books bound like this very frustrating because my brain's scattered thinking in 5 different directions, and I can never find anything if I go from front to back, page after page, because that's not how my brain works. So this is definitely journal material. It's the only type of record, the type of noting down things that can work from front to back all the way without things getting moved around and segmented. So that's the marbling notebook. And this is the 7Cs. My next to buy is the 7Cs in A5 definitely, but I have a lot of A5s right now. And so, so this is what I was hoping to buy more of, but I obviously don't know enough of what I'm looking at. So this is the Crossfield 7 Seas, and this is the 7 Seas Bunco or Bunco or Bunco. So the 7 Seas range, I'm learning as I go. And these are Tomoe River Paper. And so the same with Soft, and this is the one that, there's another one that I wanted to get. So my mind was there when I ordered this. And this is the newer gray that I was telling you about, where the pages are supposed to be soothing to the eyes. So one way is cream, and this is the other one they went, and I did flip through this. It's not Tomoe River, and it is produced by a paper company in Japan, this one here. So they have this and the recycled paper, the one that's made of recycled paper. My memory's playing tricks on me. I don't think I bought that, but I thought this was quite an interesting one. So I'm not sure how this will fare with fountain pens, but probably not great. I'm not sure. We'll see. So yeah, so I'll make a video of all my notebook collection. For the moment, these are the ones I bought from the pen show in Japan, and the one I bought recently, but as a result of seeing the pen show, seeing Watanabe, that I would have bought then if I didn't have such limitation in budget and time. So these are all Japanese bookbinder and Japanese paper mill, I believe, this one here. And 2023, so it means that it potentially are using the newer version of the Tomoe River paper. I'm not sure. So I won't take this out because it's hard to put them back in. So this is the, I believe that man there was at the stand, and unfortunately there's a lot of language barriers, so I couldn't lay flat binding there. 7/7, so big grid. 384 pages and A5.